Hey everyone, today we're diving into the incredible story of King Louis XIV, also known as the Sun King. Get this, he ruled France for a whopping 72 years, that's from 1643 to 1715, the longest any king or queen ruled a major European country. During his time, France became a real powerhouse in Europe. Louis XIV's reign was full of big political changes, amazing cultural achievements, and a lifestyle so fancy it still blows people's minds. Here's the thing, Louis XIV became king when he was just a little kid, only 4 years old, after his dad, Louis XIII, passed away. Because he was so young, his mum, Anne of Austria, and the main minister, Cardinal Mazarin, ruled for him until he grew up. But those times were a little crazy, with lots of political drama and revolts called the Fronde. These events really stuck with the young king. Those early experiences made Louis XIV believe that kings should have all the power. He wanted to make sure no one ever challenged him again and that he was the big boss. This idea, called the divine right of kings, became super important during his reign. Okay, so Louis XIV was all about that fancy life. He truly believed in showing off how powerful and majestic the French monarchy was. His court became like the most dazzling, luxurious show you could imagine. He spent tons of money to create a world of unbelievable splendor, with elaborate rituals and ceremonies that showed everyone he was the ultimate ruler. Now, the biggest example of Louis XIV's love for luxury was the Palace of Versailles. It was originally just a simple hunting lodge, but Louis XIV turned it into the most magnificent palace in Europe. Everyone was jealous. The palace gardens, designed by André Lenotre, were out of this world and showed how the king even wanted to control nature. Life at Versailles was all about the king. Nobles from all over France practically begged to be at court, hoping to be the king's favorite and get some power for themselves. Louis XIV used this whole fancy court system to stay in control. He made sure the nobles were loyal by keeping them close and making them rely on him for favors. But Louis XIV wasn't just about fancy parties and palaces. He was actually a pretty smart politician and a good ruler. He chose some really capable people as his ministers, like Jean-Baptiste Colbert, who came up with policies that made France's economy and military much stronger. Colbert believed in something called mercantilism, which meant he wanted France to be economically independent and not rely on other countries. And guess what? It worked really well. During Louis XIV's reign, France also became a major military force. He spent a lot of money on the army and navy, and they won a bunch of battles, which made France's territory bigger. However, all those wars, like the War of the Spanish Succession, cost a lot of money and eventually caused problems for France. Now let's talk about culture. Louis XIV's reign is known as the Golden Age of France. He loved the arts and supported artists like crazy. During his time, French literature, music, theatre and architecture flourished. He created the Académie Française to protect and promote the French language and supported amazing artists like Molière, Racine and Lully. Their work became super famous and represented the great century of French culture. Louis XIV's reign was definitely impressive, but it wasn't perfect. All those wars and his love for spending put a huge burden on the French people. They faced some tough economic times. Plus, in 1685, he revoked the Edict of Nantes, which had given religious freedom to Protestants. This led to the persecution of Huguenots, and many of them had to flee France. Despite these problems, Louis XIV left a huge mark on France. He changed the French monarchy forever, made France a powerful player on the world stage, and oversaw a period of incredible cultural achievement. His reign is still a source of fascination and inspiration, showing us both the brilliance and the potential dangers of absolute power. Today, Louis XIV's legacy is complicated. He's remembered as the Sun King, a symbol of absolute monarchy and a crucial figure in French history. His 72-year reign continues to amaze and intrigue people centuries later.